Okay. Oh, thought the game crashed. Okay. I haven't checked in on these. Anywho, it's the spooky time of the month, or sorry, spooky time of the year, I should say. So, what better thing to do than to jump back into a horror novel? 7:15 p.m. The numbers are so little on the top of my screen, and they glare at me with such intensity that I just can't hear the accusations. I'm late for a night out with the girls, yes, but I have a perfectly good excuse. Jeez. Man, what is with the creepy paintings in this game? Considering it didn't follow a typical office hours, they really can't expect me to be able to just go as I please at 5:30 on the dot. The client is the first and foremost my priority. Look at how unorganized that desktop is. To be fair, mine has started to get a little cluttered myself. It used to be pretty neat with like 12 icons on it, and it's every time I need to remember something, I make a text document on the desktop and I save it on the desktop. So it's starting to clutter up, but I could start throwing those in the trash bin and it'll clean up real quick. I have to sit tight when my personal assistant Chris tells me that we have a big one coming up and that I shouldn't miss this one. He knows a lot more about the who's who and the what's what when it comes to these socialites, and I trust his judgment call. I really don't have time for rich people, their drama and their politics. These sort who were born with a silver spoon up their mouths, and who were used to wagging their silver tongues about. I let him handle the negotiating with them for the most part. Why else would I have hired him? But he told me I'd receive a message about it an hour ago.
Now, if only he has the full shilling when it comes to the time.
You know what, now that I hear her say the word shilling, I kind of actually get the Irish thing. I, for the longest time, thought she was Scottish. Come on, I have a social life too, you know, to an extent. Sort of. Pressing my head against the table, I try to stave off an oncoming headache when the notification of a new email pops up. All I'm expecting to say is, hey, this looks like a good project I found. Go send them a design, or something like that, really. That's how it often goes. Even with these rich, jammy clients who heard of me from their equally rich, jammy friends, I can't expect them to hire me right off the bat. Which is all well and good and reasonable. We figure out what they want, send them my portfolio, my drafts for their projects, my rates, and hope for the best. Let's see if I can get a hint of the date. I wonder if that's a real email. Oh, I have a sneeze coming on. Achoo! Whew. This is a big client, Marianne. I'll babysit Baruthiel for you. I've already forgotten if that's a boy or girl cat name. I'm assuming it's a boy. Chris Oak Parker at yoohoo.com. Xmail. This is a big client, Marianne. I'll babysit Baruthiel for you. Just please take this one project. I promise the person is huge in Luxburn. This email and any attachments are intended solely for the use of the addressee. If you are not interested in the recipient, they have been sent to you in error Any authorized use of this information is strictly prohibited. Okay. Just please take this project, I promise. Okay. Oh, here we go. From Johannes, forwarded messages from Johannes Strucken. Hannah W., Ermengarde Mansion. Chris Oak Parker. Mr. Parker. This is a formal request to secure the services of Marianne McCulloch, hereinafter called the designer as authorized by Hannah Wright, hereinafter called the client for interior design. People, who writes like this? Interior design and work at Ermengarde Mansion, Luxburn, LX18ORF, United Kingdom. The client hopes to have designer there on 21st October, Friday, time pending. But as I open the mail, I see that I've been requested by the client specifically. Well, I certainly didn't expect that. And it's pretty straightforward, too. Anyone else would probably be excited. They'd be working with the Hannah Wright, who's been out of the public eye for a while because she's mostly just supposed to stand there and look pretty for her husband, which makes me feel bad for her, because she apparently was quite the shrewd businesswoman herself back in the day. She's just one of those rich socialites that everybody loves to talk about, no matter how hard I try to tune such nonsense out. It would have been enough for me to reply in affirmative to Chris and leave, but he has never pleaded for me to take a project before. We worked with big personalities in the past, celebrities, bankers, and even a few politicians. My PA has been indifferent about those. So the question bounced about my skull before I spy one of the email attachments. Yeah, Ermengarde Mansion should have been the dead ringer for what got your immediate attention. The Hannah Wright. See, Haunted Mansion. That just went on sale. Hannah Wright, popular socialite. Which do you think is talked about more in Luxburn? A newspaper clipping from the Luxburn Daily's business news section, boasting the headline, Wright Enterprise donates £2.5 million to Refuge. Is it supposed to be Refuge UK? Refugee UK? I don't know. I'm guessing there's a typo. Oh, they actually fully typed out this thing, so let's read it. At the grand opening of the new Wright Hotel last Wednesday, our local billionaire couple, Luke and Hannah Wright, announced the donation of 2.5 million. Is it quid? I'm not British. Do they say quid? 2.5 million pounds to help Luxburn Refuge keep their services open. Unexpected, but certainly welcome, this follows only a month after the couple's previous donation to the same amount to the Save the Children UK. One of the largest donations, this amount will help keep the safe house in Luxburn open for several years. With this money, Refuge can keep helping women, children, and victims of domestic violence. There are rumors as well of the charity talking with the couple and looking into building a local center equivalent for their Gaia and Athena locations. These rumors have come to us due to one of the Enterprise employees mentioning Project EOS. Okay. It certainly caused quite a stir back then. Apparently they invited businessmen and socialites everywhere in the guise of it being some big business announcement.
$2.5 million and an expensive-looking party to boot. These people sure know how to throw their money around.
Sorry about the interruption. Oh, I got dirt in my eyes now. Not that I should be so careless. Oh, did the game freeze? Oh, there it goes. They're going to do a lot of good and help the community with all those pounds. I, of all people, shouldn't criticize such arts whether or not they're for show or not. At the very least, I know they'll be able to pay my rates. What are your rates? With the headline out of my way, however, I find myself staring at the picture that came along with the clipping. Because, wow, here I am expecting a sour old woman in a blazer and skirt. But the woman was plastered on the front page that looked like she belongs on the front page of an entertainment section, or even, if I am to be crass, as the pinup for Glamour. People read Glamour still? I guess they're big. Okay, I'll be real here. A men's magazine. Okay, that's what I thought she was getting at. She sure knows how to rock that dress. It's a lot of pause. Wait. Her hair, her eyes, her lips. She can't be her. And at the same time, she is her, only several years older. She looks just like... Aw, come on, Mac. The world is full of pretty blondes. It's just a coincidence. What's going on? With a shake of my head, I snap out of it and reach for my phone when it buzzes, nearly falling off my chair in the process. Who else would be on the other line than the very people waiting for me?
Oh, piss. I'm so sorry, Cam. I'm on my way.
That's what I say, yet I still don't move from my chair, face flushed and heart racing. I can only stare until I can will myself to reply that yes, I'm accepting the assignment. It takes even more time for me to just close the image, shut down the computer, and leave. Even then, it has already burned its image into my head no matter how much I wish it would just disappear. It makes me eager for the alcohol and the company. Makes me eager for anything that can help me forget. Speaking of forget, I'm watching that Higurashi New right now as it's airing. And boy, do I not remember half of any of Higurashi because it's been 6+ years since I've watched it. Although I can tell that they've changed some things and it may be a sequel. I'm not entirely sure. It's entirely possible that we're just seeing an additional loop with some things changed. References to Umineko and whatnot. I wanted to get into Umineko. I might do that on stream, I might not. Okay, we're on the 18th. An email from the Wrights came requesting Marianne McCulloch's expertise for their home. It seemed like an innocent commission made a different impact on the famous designer after seeing the picture of the Wright Missus. It makes me eager for anything that can help me forget. It's a good thing that the nearest pub is just a hop, skip, and a jump from here. The Galloway Shawl, as it's called by those who frequented the place, is the only decent Irish pub in this country. You know, I would have thought that they had more Irish pubs in England than they had here, due to the close proximity to Ireland. But I guess that's just more common in America because of the immigration movement that happened as a result of the potato famine. You can pretty much tell that someone is new if they call it by its official name, the Crawl Bar. Oh, so you just have like a made-up street name for the place. My home away from home ever since I moved out to Luxburn. Well, that is, when I'm not cooped up in my condo working anyway. It has good alcohol, good company, and thank God and Saint Cecilia good music. Crowd favorites like the Bothy Noise, the High Wesselian Men, and Second Fusion Orchestra are often played. Please tell me that none of those are real names. Not to mention the singing. I love singing. Anyone could just break out into a drinking song, and the others in the pub were just wonderful that they'd start singing along. I don't drink, and you're not making me interested in doing it. I'm still a little bit of a hard sell. And doing so while intoxicated is the best. And doing it while intoxicated is the best of ways to go about it. Hey, it's a win-win. As long as I don't puke in the middle of the chorus, and as long as I can get home in one piece at the end of the day. You see, these are problems that people who don't drink don't have to worry about. Although I do have to worry about puking in the middle of the chorus, but that's for a different reason we'll get into later. And tonight is karaoke night! Which actually reminds me of that one Danny Trejo scene in Delta Force. Or Delta Farce. What better time than to try and sing all my worries away? That is what my intoxicated brain tells me.
The ghost of guilt and sorrow remembers who I am, and in the prison of my heart, I was my only slave.
I did not expect that. I was fully expecting the la la la's. Who is this VA, and why is she such a great singing voice with such a weird and off-putting Irish accent? And that probably would have been amazing with the actual proper music to go with it. I'm sure it would have been. But drinking only reminds me of my home, and the thought of home makes me think of her.
But in the depths of my cold soul, I'll leave the burden and despair.
That is too good. It makes me annoyed that we're listening to smooth jazz and not whatever song she's singing. It makes me nauseous. It sickens me. That smallest reminder of her can cause me such grief.
I'll fight for what's worth fighting for. Forget the fear, forget the rest.
Of course, that might just be the booze. Any other day, I would have scolded myself for drinking so much.
I lied to the Lord, I lied to myself, I lied to you and everyone I care, until there were no more lies to tell.
Seriously, what is this song and where can I find it? But I already have a client and we'll be having our first little meet and greet in a few days.
Cowardice is easier than being brave, but at last I found the strength I lost to sing my love letter to you.
Oh no, that is a very odd string of words that we call a sentence, but it's an even weirder string of words that we call subtext.
'Cause people can lie, but my lone heart beats true.
I want to at least enjoy this night, get over the hangover tomorrow, and return to being a prim and proper professional after.
That song was for Cam, our lucky bride-to-be. So give her hand, Galway shawl.
Considering the state I'm in, no one can excuse my smug grin. Considering the state I'm in, one can excuse my smug grin. Not excuse, not excuse. Not. As cheers and applause rise from among the pub's patrons. All three of them. Because possibly off-key singing aside, it wasn't completely off-key. There were some powerful moments in there. I feel like I'm on top of the world right now. Or maybe we're all intoxicated and we're looking at this through beer goggles and it sounds completely worse. And god awful. And that's good a reason as any to belt it out in front of these strangers. With good drinks and good friends, there's nowhere else I'd rather be tonight. And I forget for a short while.
And that song was brought to you by Marianne McCullough, everyone! A round of applause!
That was so good. You rock, Marianne.
Which one is which?
Oh, please stop. You're just saying that.
You know neither of us can hold a tune, Marianne. A toast to our shameless drunk singer. May your drinks forever flow and your notes be ever lovely.
Take the compliment, I guess.
If anyone deserves a toast tonight, that's Cam. Finally sealed the deal after 3 years, eh? Read 'em and wait, bitches.
Which one of them has the ring on? Yep. Okay, so this is Cam. Okay, this is Cam, right below me on screen. Actually, now that I think about it, is this a good place for my cam? Because I haven't moved it since the Valkyria Chronicles stream, and I think it's an okay spot for it. Although I think chat's back there, so... No, chat is not back there. So yeah, I'll just leave my head over here in the corner. And leave the stream boss here. Not that anyone needs to see it. Camilla's diamond engagement ring gleams as she holds it up for all the world to see. She has reasons to be proud, 3 years of living together, and her boyfriend finally asked her the big question. Hey, you want to wear this ring on your finger? Okay. Yeah, that's how I'm going to ask my fiance out someday. Hey, I got tickets to the next A's game. You want to go? I'm not a sports guy. I'm not exactly a hopeless romantic either. Obviously, she said yes. Yes, I'm taking the ring, but no, I won't marry you. I'm having way too much fun with this. I'm a sad, lonely, bitter man. Let me have this.
Don't get too attached to that ring or the one after, sweetie. I was wearing a wedding ring not so long ago, and look at where I am.
Oof.
But enough of me being a downer. Cheers to a happy engagement!
I think you should have opened with that before you brought up the whole, you're probably gonna get divorced and then married again. Of course, if something like Haruna's divorce were to happen, I'd be there for Cam. Just as Cam had been there for me, acting more than just my yoga instructor. Can't be happier for my friend right now.
Cheers! Cheers!
Well, we both will be there for Cam, won't we? Haruna and I. Haruna, it's been a real bad year for her ever since the divorce. She's such a nice person, even loaning me money to open a studio. She didn't deserve what her husband had pulled. I'm happy she's smiling again and pigging out like she used to. I think we've all missed our Japanese firecracker. We met in yoga class, something I had joined to keep myself in shape, and well, honestly, so that I could make friends when I had moved to Luxembourg. Clearly it worked like a charm. And I see D20 in the next sentence. And it definitely didn't have anything to do with the fact that I brought along my lucky D20 die with me on the first day. No, sir. I love these girls so much.
What about you, Marianne? You're 30 years old and you still haven't got yourself a man. And you guys know I have a very busy schedule. I don't have time for that.
Oh, come on. That's a lame excuse and you know it.
Now tell us about Chris.
You need a man who'll take care of you and you need it now. Maybe some hunk who'll be your house hubby while you rake in the dough.
I'm quite capable of taking care of myself. Who needs a Mr. Right?
Ooh, how about a Mr. Right with a W? because I hear he is an asshole.
Hey, look at me. I'm Marion McCullough, a lawful neutral cleric with 9 points in wisdom and 8 in charisma, but I can't get myself a date.
Well, I think that 8 point in charisma might have something to do with it. Just a little bit of nerd talk here. I mentioned druids and demons once. Druids and demons. They don't even know what the rules or understand what the numbers mean. And I am certainly not some holy person. I am far from a miracle worker. And I barely have the willpower to fight off demons, especially my own.
Actually, maybe she isn't looking for a Mr. Right, but a Mrs. Right.
Ooh. Ashante.
Oh, my Marianne, we still love you even if you're in the closet.
That would explain some things. Howdy now, you don't have a ring anymore. Maybe you two can be together and I don't have to worry about my best girls being alone. What are you on about? There's nothing to explain.
There's nothing wrong with it. You're young. I mean, you're older than me, but you're in your 30s. You're still relatively young. How old is she again? Exactly 30. Yeah, they've got plenty of time to worry about that. Get married in your 40s. It's safer. You have a much higher chance of having a lasting relationship. But the more I deny, the louder they tease until the other people in the pub start to watch. Doesn't help at all when Haruna drapes her arm over my shoulders and leans in.
Will I be all yours then? Will you be making me feel like a woman?
I know that they're just kidding around, but this doesn't make me comfortable in the slightest. So when Kamala notices my silence and Haruna sees the expression on my face, they smile. Okay, teasing has its limits. Even if it is all in good fun. When the awkward air settles over us, the rest of the pub goes back to whatever they were doing before the whole thing ever happened. They probably won't even remember it when they wake up from the massive hangovers anyway. Hey, if everyone was as smart as me, you would go to a bar with a designated driver, which would be completely sober, specifically because I get enjoyment of hanging out with drunk people, of just sitting there next to the drunk people, so that I can remember everything that occurred and reveal it to them in great detail. Hangovers be damned.
Sorry.
Me too.
Hey, no hard feelings, right?
I raise my glass. They smile. We drink. There's no need to say more. We're all definitely far too drunk tonight. Eventually the fun times end. It is a weekday after all. And with Harna being a nurse, she still has to get ready for her next shift. Cam also has a loving fiance waiting for her at home, and really didn't have to make a fuss about having left some buns in the oven when she took off early. Oh, I left the oven on. I gotta get home to my husband, or my fiance. What? That felt like a really weird strung together sentence. Really, I understand. I was the one who insisted, who was determined to get pissed drunk anyway. Moving to the bar, I sit. Alone at last. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. It's all coming together. Alone with a stranger. Why did I forget that this guy's an idiot and a drunk? I haven't seen him here before. Obviously not a regular. He hasn't said a word and just sits there, savoring his drink. Oh no, are we going to witness the infamous event between him and what's her name? Rachel? Whew. He hasn't said a word, he just sits there, savoring his drink. with his whiskey served neat in one hand and a lighter in the other. Doesn't seem like he's noticed me yet, and maybe I should go before he does look my way. Because he was pretty and he was blonde. And those two things plus alcohol never did me any good. A thought too late. Judging by the way his flushed face and dazed look in his eye, he's pissed as he's as drunk as I am. But whereas I feel like kneeling over, he looks like he's still ready to take a catwalk by storm. Walk the catwalk. Okay. He just has an air of one of those men who think they own the world. Oh, little do you know, Marianne.
Hello there, sexy. Please don't stand up on my account. I already like what I see.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is everything I hope to not be when I get older.
Fancy a drink? It'll be on me.
Then again, I might be pleasantly surprised if you first move on.
Want some between the sheets? Sex on the beach? I'm talking cocktails, of course.
God, I hate cocktail names so much. Because if that line didn't follow up his first line, I would have never made that connection. Except for Sex on the Beach. I did know that Sex on the Beach was a cocktail name. Between the Sheets? You gotta be fucking kidding me. My name's Sheets, and I've never heard of a fucking cocktail called Between the Sheets. Fat chance. But it doesn't matter. We both know how to play this game. And there are two different ways for the night to end. One thing or another is going to happen. The question is, what do I want to do?
That's fine. I'd rather order some blue balls or some AMF if you don't mind.
What's AMF? I know Blue Balls is a cocktail. He looks like he's about to say some witty retort, but stops himself and downs the rest of his whiskey. I order a mint julep. Who names this stuff? He gets another whiskey, and we start our customary small talk. Of course, the saying, ask me no questions and I'll tell you no lies, goes without saying. We ask nothing about each other, offering up falsehoods to establish strenuous fake connection between two strangers at a pub, only to pass the time. Whiskey, as I have come to call him, is supposedly a 21-year-old, single, takes care of his sick mother, and is a manager of some sort. See, again, this is drunk people problems. Another thing that I don't really have any way to connect with because I don't drink, and I think it's a sick hobby that is better to not have. As a manager of some sort. Manager of what? I didn't care to listen to the details. Meanwhile, Mint, as he has come to call me, is 29. What did I say I was again? Oh yes, I told him I was a professional chocolate taster. Because fuck it, I'm gonna lie about what my job is, might as well make it fun. It's a pretty decent chat between two pretty drunk strangers. And maybe it's just me, but we might as fucking well expend the tiniest amount of effort pretending there's something meaningful about this meeting. Would have been nice too if it was just left at that. During a lull in the conversation, he brings it up.
Yeah? I've never been with a woman taller than me.
Back to the journal. She is taller than me. By a lot. 5'11"? How tall is Hana? 5'7"? Luke, let me see your height. 180 centimeters. 5'11". She's almost as tall as Zach. Meanwhile, me and Hannah look eye to eye. It says 5'8" on my license, but my license is rounding up. They're rounding up from 5'7.5" roughly. Or 5'7 and 5/8" or whatever you want to call it. And then we have 5'2" Isabel, which somebody told me is actually within the standard deviation of height for women, which I guess women are shorter than I realized in standard deviation right now. Who knew? I also just noticed that in the log it is actually calling him Whiskey.
You know, I've never been with a woman taller than me.
And to think he may have been different from the rest.
Never have and never will, Whiskey. Can we go back to the history of chocolates? Did you know that chocolate candy was introduced in 19th century England as a healthier alternative to alcohol?
Is that true? I don't trust two drunk people bickering and lying to each other. But it wouldn't surprise me. I'm sure it was actually introduced as some royalty, as like a delicate sweet that was extensively expensive because of the fact that cocoa beans had to be exported from some benign part of the world. Who knows? That's my guess. St. Lucy was the most beautiful woman of her time. She had men come from the four corners of the world just to see the pure light of her exquisite green eyes. If she were so lucky, anyway.
No, enough of the history lesson. Come on, Mint. You know and I know what you came here for.
Remember when I took this guy's side on the fact that he was being accused of cheating on his wife and sleeping with another woman and having a baby with that other woman? Let's go back. We're going to go back in time. We're going to delete that video. We're going to re-record the stream. I'm not going to say that. And then we're going to just re-record this stream so it doesn't make me look like I have to have this entire moment where I explain this to the audience again. Nah, that's too much work. Let's just move on. Though not every suitor was gallant, and she was no fool, she had known that sooner or later she wouldn't be able to defend her chastity. Oh no, this is going exactly where I hoped it wasn't.
Come on. There must be something that gets you going.
So she had taken out a knife and gouged out her own eyes.
There is something, but I don't think you can handle it.
Oh boy. This is happening, isn't it? Impressed with her devotion, God restored her eyes and made them more beautiful than before. He has a peculiar sense of humor, hasn't he? Because that only meant suitors kept going after Lucy, and she kept her eyes in chalice to scare them away.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I can handle whatever it is.
You're gonna cough up blood tomorrow. Saint Lucy, help me. Help me turn away from sin. Help me with my own blindness.
My place isn't too far from here. I won't take care of you if it ends up being too much for you.
This is bad. This is bad. This is extensively bad for so many reasons.
And no one will be able to hear you if you try to scream.
This just got kinky, but it's also bad for so many other reasons.
You sure you want to go down that road, pretty boy?
Wouldn't have it any other way.
This is bad. Abort! Abort! Please tell me that this is a dream, then I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and we didn't play this stream. Who am I kidding? I'm not gonna sleep tonight now. Marianne went to the Crawl Bar, also called the Galway Shawl by its patrons, for a night out with close friends Cam and Haruna. When they left, Marianne was seen with a stranger whom she only referred to as Whiskey. In turn, she was called Mint. I unlocked some achievements. Let's take a look. Sing the blues. Best thing about having my condo close to the pub is ease of access. As long as I can still stand and walk, I can make it home. Maybe I'd need help from a kind neighbor or two to help me with the last leg if they'd really gone overboard with the alcohol. But I always made it home. Sometimes with company. These are horrible people. Of course, that always comes with complications, especially the real clingy ones. Wasn't anything a good tip about stalkers to the building security can't fix. I'm always nervous, though, even if this isn't the first time I've done this. And the first few minutes when we enter the room are the first few agonizing minutes where I try not to panic. Okay, Max, so far so good. Don't let them smell your fear under that liquid courage. Oh, I smell more than fear. But I don't feel like I should say what I do smell. Meanwhile, in real life, there's so much dust in here I can't smell. He'll leave sooner or later, and I'll never see him again. Just like every other man before him. Oh ho 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 ho! Oh ho 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 ho! I'd like to say myself that the men I've brought to my place were more scared than I was. Yet there is no fear when I look into Whiskey's eyes, only delight. When he starts touching me, I don't even hesitate when I push him against the door. Roughness to be expected. Please tell me there's no CG and we can move on. In fact, I'm going to have to... Let's see. Is there... Okay, I don't want to have a button set up. So I'm going to get my... mouse on the trigger in case I need to turn the stream off at a moment's notice, in case there is a CG that we don't want to see. As long as she sticks to the script, everything will go smoothly. We have our little tumble in the sheets. We'll forget about it. If somebody asked what I really wanted, I would have told them that I wanted a bed of roses, chocolates, and music. Maybe an Irish castle. But all I really want is her. And it's never going to be a reality. Oh, she really is in the closet. Okay. That was my fault, of course. Because I was afraid. Because I was a coward. They would never hold a candle up to her. She was the light of my life. And I let her go. That creepy painting in the background holds whole new meaning. I can't even be bothered at the thought of her. Just the single thought of her makes my resolve to see this affair through waver.
Wait.
What is it now?
Oh, here we go. This is the guy I'm familiar with. Yes, what is it now? Oh, thank goodness. We're saved. We're saved. We're saving. Yeah. Save the game, save the game, save the game. This is wrong.
We're both drunk.
Why did it go up? Fuck.
And...
This is wrong. Don't you think it's a bit fucked up that we're about to have sex and we're just calling each other by the drinks that we had? How messed up are we?
Doll, shut up with the ethics and morality talk. It is seriously putting me out of the mood.
Good.
If you want to leave now, Whiskey, I understand. I mean, with how smashed you are, it'd probably be best for you to sleep the night unless you want to be mugged. But I won't stop you. And this isn't going to happen.
Bloody hell.
Haha! Achievement unlocked. Cock blocked. You know, I should probably see if I can turn that on. Properties? I think I can. Yeah, let's capture this. Done. You guys should be able to see those Steam achievements when they pop up now. Of course, he's annoyed at me for putting off our night of sexual congress. I forget that that's a thing. But no means no. Beyond spewing a few profanities under his breath, he surprisingly simmers down soon enough. I was worried for a moment that he might try to force something. Instead, he makes a show of fixing his suit and smoothing down his hair before making himself comfortable on the nearest seat he could find.
What are you doing then? You have a guest in your home. Put the damn kettle on. Dandelion tea if you have it. But I suppose all you have are those shitty tea bags from the store.
If it isn't for the absurdity in this turn of events, I would have flipped them off and thinking. Sorry. I'm still just blunt reacting to that. If it isn't for the absurdity of the turn of events, I would have flipped them off for thinking I have no taste. But in the end, I just laugh. All I got are cans of Korean ginseng and lemon balm, though. No dandelion. Without a second thought, I do wet the tea. It's 3 minutes to get the kettle for a boil. 3 minutes where we say nothing. I mean, what do you even say to the guy I was going to sleep with up until I changed my mind 5 seconds ago? I doubt he's in the mood to talk about the influence of Troy's and Mallory. It's still unusual by the time we're both seated on my bed with mugs of tea in hand.
Just so you know, whatever is going on right now is a lot stranger and fucked up than the one night stand.
I disagree. Because unfortunately for you, Mr. Wright, I can see the future. You two are going to become business partners, indirectly, but in each other's lives directly in the so immediately near future.
We are two messed up individuals by your logic.
Everything is messed up, if you ask me. War, terrorism, famine, poverty, loved ones and loved lost. Oh,
He's not wrong. He's drunk, but he's not wrong.
this whole world is a cesspool.
Debatable. The dead air is telling when it fills the room once more. One would think that this is the perfect time to burst, to spill out whatever issues that made us as fucked up a person as we are today. And it is. But I guess some part of me would rather not put the weight of my problems on somebody else's shoulder. Wouldn't be fair to leave it to a person when I don't even know. Oh my god, I just realized that conversation that Hannah has with Marianne puts whole new context to the meeting now. Oh my god. Holy crap. Wouldn't be fair to leave that to a person when I don't even know if we'll ever see each other again. But you will. Sooner rather than later, we both pass out on my bed. Mugs left forgotten on the floor. That could have ended horribly. Excuse me? Oh, there we go. When I wake, whiskey is already gone. Thanks for the tea, Marianne. Whiskey. A bottle of painkillers and a note on the table are the only evidence that I wasn't alone last night. He left you painkillers? I don't even question where these are from, or just how he knew my real name. I'm just grateful for something to help with the hangover. That was real thoughtful of him. Might as well. I have a job to do. Okay, timeline. Marianne and Whiskey went back to her condo after having one too many drinks. However, Marianne changed her mind about the one-night stand and ended up sharing tea with him instead. Next morning, the stranger left with nothing but a note and a bottle of painkillers. Oh, we skipped ahead to Saturday. Let's see, what was on Friday? That was the letter. Sink ready. Aaron got mansion. What else happened on Friday? Okay, we do meet McCulloch on Friday. Today was the open house. Okay. Happy anniversary. Okay. And there's also the movie. Okay. So now we know what happens today. It isn't often that I think about drinking on the job, but after meeting the Wrights yesterday, really makes me want to break my self-imposed rules. Because first off, fucking damn Whiskey was fucking damn Mr. Wright. That is a very fun sentence to read. And to top it all off, they had somehow forgotten to inform me that they didn't own the Ermengarde mansion yet when they hired me. What sort of person does that?
Ugh, rich people.
I could do nothing but twiddle my thumbs at this, however. Twiddle my thumbs and wait for the go signal. It's not like I can accept other smaller projects. This is a big job and I should be ready to start at any time. Not to mention that my PA practically begged me to be patient and wait this out. It was a hard decision to agree, but I did so in the end. Besides, I'm doing this for the Ermengarde mansion, not for anything or anyone else. I'd have a headache. Whatever I do anyway. Hey, the birds are back. Oh boy. Let's get my posture up. There we go. I'd go to the pub again, but seeing what happened a few days ago, I'd rather not end up in bed with another potential client. First world problem. Also problems people like me don't have to worry about because I don't drink. Well, I don't drink for fun or for social engagement. I drink more in a celebratory manner where it's like, hey, it's a special occasion. I'll have one beer or one glass of wine. And those special occasions tend to be 1 to 2 times a year, if that. So I have maybe 0 to 3 drinks a year, for those that are curious on the math angle. And it might not be... What was that? I guess the dog knocked something over. It might be a huge leap in logic, but the library is the next best thing after the pub. Now that is a good place to pass time. I have to go there anyway. I need more books for Dad. Plus I also need to return the ones I borrowed last time. Finding a new book or two to read myself, while I have nothing to do, isn't such a bad idea either. So on Saturday morning, I find myself going to the only library in Luxburn to hopefully cool off. After returning the Ursule and the poetry book by Henry of Podebury, I asked the librarian about several titles on my list, though I don't have much luck on that front. Dialogue with death has already been snatched, and she bluntly said that she does not keep our mathematical universe for someone who didn't return books on time. Ouch. Librarian with an attitude. I make headway, at least, when I ask about Siege of the rendition of Havana at Jacaba de Pozella. What? Oh, yeah. If you count her snarling and pointing at the history section as headway, that is. The history section is devoid of any other except for myself and a redhead. Though I'd wager a guess that Red's just passing by to get to a classical literature section. Redhead is Rebecca, isn't it? So many books, so little time. Scanning the books and seeing so many wonderful titles gives me great pleasure. That's when I spot it.
Hello, sailor. Why don't you come to Mama?
Rebecca, Rebecca, Rebecca. History of Luxburn Architecture. It's not a naval book I was looking for, but no, it's even better. The newly acquired History of Luxburn Architecture, first edition, too. I know I just have to get it. I've been waiting to get my hands on the book for so long. The fact that there's only one copy proves to be a problem, though, when Red reaches for out and... Yep, the trope that I thought was going to happen happened. Who would have guessed?
I think I had this first, miss.
Red. I can only stare her down when she refuses to let go of the book. Refusing to let go of it, as well, I raise a brow at her in hopes that the fact that I was significantly taller than her would intimidate the girl. No dice there, she knows someone taller than you. Even then, she refused with a rebellious look.
This isn't exactly light reading, miss. I mean, do you even know which architect was at the forefront of 18th century Irish architecture?
A beat. She blinks, and I can't help but smirk on my face. Which is wiped off when she opens her mouth. She knows, actually. She totally knows.
Edward Lovett Pierce, who established the Palladian style through his work with Castletown House and the Irish Houses of Parliament.
Woman after my own heart.
This bridge was destroyed in this year to delay French troops while under the regency of Mary of Guise.
This is what I was expecting, but apparently Marianne wasn't. Let's be honest, how many people would know these history facts? Not me, that's for sure. I don't know a lot about English and Irish historical ties, outside of stuff that I've been hearing from IRA individuals and incidents. But, for the most part, I am a history buff. It's just that the American education system is not exactly the best. Well, actually, let's be frank. I don't think it's even on the list of the best. Aside from me,
Going
anyway.
right to the obscure ones, aren't you? Easy enough. Tullybody Old Bridge in Clackmannanshire, Scotland, on the January of 1560, if we want to be specific.
Okay, what was that achievement we just got? Pop quiz. Easy enough. Suddenly, it's a game where we throw these history questions and facts at each other, back and forth in hushed tones unless we want to be thrown out of the library. After a while, it goes from some strange competition into this strange but friendly banter, if it could be called that. I'm glad you're making friends, Miss McCulloch. You need more friends. Clearly. But as fun as it is, the exchange soon slows down until we're grinning at how odd this whole scene is.
Marianne McCulloch, my desire for potatoes doesn't quite match what the stereotypes suggest.
Rebecca Gales, the Scots' supposed hatred for the English wasn't enough to stop me from teaching their little spawns.
Oh, she's the Scottish one. Now that I know that, I can hear it in her voice. Maybe I always knew that. When do we play as her? She's next, right? Yeah, we're playing as her next. And we're breezing through this. We gotta be getting close to the end of this game at some point, right? We're like on chapter 4. By then we had forgotten about our little tug-of-war, although she still holds the book in her hands. I had let go without realizing when she answered my first question.
History teacher, then?
Got it in one.
No wonder you gave me a run for my money. Now, if we're talking about architecture, I'd blow you out of the water. You're from where? Luxburn Uni?
Oh no, just St. Goretti's.
Ah yes, Saint Goretti. You'd think a school would choose a more appropriate saint to name themselves after, especially when they have very young students. Wait. That warrants suspicion. Time for ye olde Google. Actually, I know something that's almost as fast as Google. I'll be right back. Alexa. Alexa. Alexa, who is Saint Goretti?
Sorry, I'm not sure about that.
Alexa, who is Saint Goretti?
Here's something I found on Wikipedia. Maria Teresa Goretti is an Italian virgin martyr of the Catholic Church and one of the youngest saints to be canonized. Did that answer your question?
Thanks, Alexa.
And I'm guessing you're an architect, if you're so confident about the subject.
Interior designer, Miss Gales.
Please, just call me Rebecca. You aren't one of my students, are you?
Marianne, then.
I could have said that I was an architect, but there's no point in explaining why I wasn't one anymore.
So, I've never seen you before. I'd like to think I've met every history aficionado in town.
I blame the rock I've been hiding under, of course. That, and I'm usually only here on the weekdays if time allows. Work often has me meeting clients on the weekends.
That must be interesting work.
It allows for some creative freedom, sure. But it's like working with children sometimes. Though you probably have it harder working with actual children. The hardest part is convincing them that your idea is their idea.
That sounds exciting.
Yes, it does. In which I mean it isn't.
It is!
But isn't that true for any workplace, though? We just cross our fingers and hope there aren't any man-children in charge of important things.
Oh, why did you have to bring up man-children? Ah, Luke.
Any big projects right now? I can't imagine that interior designing is a frequent thing.
I'm working on the Ermengarde mansion. Lucky me. That mansion. Intach. Wonderful. Breathtaking. I can't wait to start in it. Now that is beautiful architecture.
Mid-16th century, right? A pause. Looks like she wants to say something about my mention of the house. I'm not surprised. That place is certainly popular with the locals, especially with the urban legends attached to it. Okay, so everybody's not oblivious about those. In the next second, though, she seems to think better of it and drops what she is about to say.
So, do you have a portfolio or anything I can take a look at? I'd love to see your designs. Maybe you have some on a tablet. I've met some designers before, and they're always going crazy over these virtual room apps or another.
A tablet? Please. Callicrates didn't need those silly iTabs when he built the Parthenon. I certainly don't need one to design a house.
Computer back at my place is all I have. Why should I buy an expensive gadget that'll just get outdated within a year? When what I have is just as functional. PC Master Race. The traditional ways had far more personal touch, in my opinion. Not to mention those smartphones are awful tools for procrastination. I'm guilty of that as well. I started playing Pokemon Masters, and it sucks 30 minutes out of my day. I take it back. I don't really procrastinate. I can't even count on the one I I can even count on one hand the number of people I see going outside only to have their eyes glued to the things. This came out in like 2016, 2017, right? Pokemon Go was a thing, right? And fuck touchscreens. They're evil things that make typing what should have been a simple task harder. Yeah, I can agree there. But then again, you're wearing gloves.
I do have an online portfolio if you'd like. I can...
Speaking, or thinking of the devil, seems to have summoned it. Because before I could even carry on, Rebecca's attention wanes as she pulls out her mobile. For what I can only assume is a call, she gives me an apologetic look before standing and excusing herself off farther into the aisles as she goes for some privacy. I do my best to give it to her as well. Trying to tune her out.
Belle, is something wrong? Lunch at the coffee house? Sure, I can make it. I'm not too far. I can be there in 10.
Is this after the open house? When did the coffee house thing happen with Isabel? Was that today? No, that's the film thing that's the afterwards today. When did that coffee house thing happen? Oh, we're on the 22nd. Okay. I guess it's just not on the timeline, but I remember it happening. Because she celebrates landing the mansion. When she returns with a sheepish look on her face, I know that our friendly chat has been cut short.
Sorry, I have to go and meet with some friends.
It's fine. Totally fine. No need to even apologize.
About the book.
Her embarrassment increases twofold when she realizes she's still holding on to the history of Luxburn architecture. I don't give her time to think about it as I put a hand and shake my head, fishing out a pen and paper from my bag along with one of my business cards and hand them over to her.
You know, I'm busy with work, so I might not even be able to take a peek at it anytime soon. You can go ahead and have it. But you'll have to ring me up when you're returning it just so I can snag it right away. Deal?
She makes quick work of penning the number down and handing it back to me with a grin.
Deal. Just message me during school hours, of course. You have a good day then.
You too.
And now everybody knows somebody connected to the Ermengarde mansion now. I mean, technically, everybody's connected somehow, basically. That's what I'm getting at. Marianne is now connected to everybody directly. Except for Ashton. Yeah. Man, I'm looking forward to seeing Ashton's point of view because he seems to be the biggest mystery to me. With Rebecca gone, I'm left alone, standing in the history section. Although my original plans were simply to sit down and read a good book, our little pop quiz, if you could call it that, made this time pass without either of us even realizing it. It was fun, and I do believe I've made a new friend. Good job, Marianne. Even with the talk of lunch, however, I don't feel like grabbing a bite to eat. There are still other books to be read here, and I'm hoping to find something that will help me while I work with the rights. Something like How to Deal with Arseholes Professionally 101, just in case. I've dealt with a lot of uppity, snooty, rich clients before, but still, it's better to be safe than sorry. How many uppity, snooty, rich clients that you almost slept with 2 days before have you had to deal with in the past? Because Luke Wright just takes the fucking cake, and he probably manages to eat it too. And it seems the world is conspiring to keep me from my me time. As my mobile vibrates in my pockets, the moment I find something from the shelves of the classic literature section.
Marianne McCulloch, Charlie Rose Design speaking.
Miss Cooper.
Rose Cooper here, Miss McCullough.
you at a bad time or anything.
Excuse me while I check my journal. When do you die? Because today is Saturday? You die tomorrow. Well, at least we get to hear her voice again.
But I just wanted to check in and tell you that we've got the clear to hand over the documents. Madam Wright told us that we should forward the floor plans to you.
Already? How did they go through the process so fast? Surely there is so many red tape to even acquire the forms for transferring of rights. No matter how rich the rights are, it shouldn't be this quick, right?
So, if I can just have your email, I'll be sending them your way.
I'd actually like a physical copy of the floor plans.
Oh, I suppose that's fine. I'm not at the office right now, but I can inform Miss Santos of your request.
I'll make sure to drop by the office after lunch if that's fine.
Not a problem. Right. Well, cheers.
Right. Cheers.
I don't know. I just don't. There's some sort of deeper miscommunication when we last met. These things take time. It's been, what, a day? Less than that even. There isn't even a point in trying to make sense of these people who seem to be larger than life. October 22nd. Well, as it looks like I'm on the clock starting today, might as well eat. Marianne befriended Rebecca Gales during the visit to the library. Marianne received a call from Rose Cooper afterwards, informing her the Ermengarde Mansion's floor plans were ready for pickup at the office. Oh, this was the treating of friends to lunch. Okay. Had a pleasant lunch with Zachary and Steele. Rose Cooper. Meet with the rights for interior. Okay, so we're gonna end up catching up to here. So she's gonna get lunch now. So okay, it's all coming together. Interconnected world, or at least characters. Grabbing some fish and chips on the street food stalls, I find a table to spend time with a copy of Marquise de Sade's. That is a real book. That is a real person. The Crime of Love. I'm aware of this author. Now, Marquis de Sade is very famous because the term sadist is actually named after him. Or at least rumored to be named after him. So I don't know anything about him other than that. So, The Crime of Love. Oh no, the conversation with whiskey at the bar makes too much more sense now. Oh. This is just getting kinkier by the minute. Since Rebecca left the book I wanted, I've read this one before along with the rest of his works. Of course you have. This would be the 18th time, in fact. Oh, I'm just hearing running water. Okay. But it's always nice to read it through again, when I don't have time to enjoy something new. Besides, when you're dealing with people so filthy rich that they just end up plain filthy, you need good old Marquise's sound... I doubt it. I doubt it's sound advice.
La blessure se trouvant sans aucune sorte de conséquence.
I don't know any French, but if I had to guess, the pleasure of the soul or something has some sort of consequence. Am I in the ballpark? The wound being without any consequence. I was close. Of course, it's folly to think that things have no consequence when everything actually does. Briar Realty Corporation's Lexburn branch isn't too far off from the city center, just a few blocks away, and I can easily eat and walk. I'd rather use this time to rest before I go into a flurry of activity. No doubt there'll be so much more to do once I get my hands once we get hands-on with the mansion.
Still a lot better than working on another condo, at least.
Surely, no matter how much BRC and the old owners put into the restoration and preservation of the place, any big repairs would be superficial at most. I'm quite certain that in their haste to sell the property, they did a rush job. It is an infrequent thing to do, despite how it is frowned upon. There'll be a lot of hidden issues that I will need to weed out. I have to make sure I find every single one of them, especially the more serious damages. Structural integrity is definitely on the top of my list, and we will have to consider. The building might look sturdy, but it is centuries old. That alone will likely pose a few problems here and there, put limitations on what we can do. Yeah, you could always add more support beams. Just don't knock out any load-bearing walls. Besides, despite how much I detest these rich snobs, they can pay rather handsomely, so long as I do an excellent job and do more than necessary. Those two things have always made sure referrals keep coming. I don't even have to hunt down projects for myself. Alrighty, afternoon. So this is where we meet up with Isabella. When I do go up to BRC's office, I can't help but stop and stare when I enter the building. With the lunch hour closing, employees should have been back already. If they still aren't filtering through the doors. Oh no, is she going to have an encounter now? Because Isabella had an encounter. Isabella. I play another game with an Isabel. This is really getting on my nerves. Because I honestly forgot for a minute because we skipped the scene. But Marianne encountered the letter as well. With the lunch hour closing, employees should have been back already if they still aren't filtering through the doors. I get that it's Saturday, people are usually feel tired and lazy to be working on the weekend, but they're still on the clock and not bumming about wasting company time on extended lunch breaks and cigarette sessions. The office is spacious, as it is with these big corporations. Each person is given their little space of what's usually a 2x2 meter cubicle. There's a lot more empty chairs than there are actual people working at their desks. Reminds me of far too much of my last day at the Porskova projects during a massive layoffs due to the Irish economic crisis. But it isn't just that. Everything is quiet as the grave. It's as if people are merely ghosts. Speaking of ghosts, Santos comes through the door, looking as if she's just seen one. That's because she has. She looks at me wide-eyed like a deer caught in headlights, ready to bolt at any moment. I'd ask out of concern, but I feel it's not my position to do so. What if it's something personal and I'd simply be overstepping my boundaries? Really, it's none of my business.
I presume that Miss Cooper told you why I'm here, Miss Santos?
Huh? Oh, yeah. Sorry, I just got back from lunch, you know? But it won't take too long. Don't worry.
Of course it won't. This whole project has established itself to be a matter done in haste.
Yep.
I do hope it doesn't mean that people are being careless in their duties.
She flinches and looks like she doesn't quite know how to respond to that. Thankfully, instead of opening her mouth, she leads the way towards her station and goes to fetch the floor plans. It won't take too long, she said, but it does take a bit of time to compose herself, most likely.
You know, we usually just email these things.
I prefer the real thing.
Not that you would know. You probably have your nose stuck in front of a smartphone when you're not working, and even when you should be working, playing those mindless addictive games. I definitely wish Chris would stop playing that Bat-Cat thingy during work hours. Bat-Cat? What?
I know what you mean. Digital painting is nice, but nothing beats the smell of real paint. Not that I go and smell paint like a crazy person, but, you know, the real thing is different.
Wait, what?
Yes, nothing is quite like the real thing.
Oh, wow. This is actually pretty interesting. I might need to take a note of this. So we got ground floor. There's a garden in the back behind the ballroom. Okay. Hall. Now we can finally see what this layout is like. Okay, so the dining room is adjacent to the foyer. This parlor is also... I could have sworn that this is where the fucking parlor was based on how they described it earlier. This is the parlor. The study I thought was adjacent to that. Where's the study? Because the way I got in my head, I thought the layout was, I thought like this is where the parlor was, and then the study would be above that. This is all screwed up. There's a music room, and there's a restroom behind the parlor. There's a basement there, quarters. There's a basement and a wine cellar? Okay. That's all the ground floor stuff. And on the top floor, we have a balcony, hallway, master bedroom, quarters. What does it say? Conference room? Conference room. Theater. There's the study. The study's on the second floor? I could have sworn the study was on the first floor. And there's just 2 attic rooms on the top floor. Checking out the floor plans, I'll see that I have a lot going for me. Now I know how Ray felt when he found the Central Park West building floor plans from that one movie. Oh, they're making Ghostbusters references in a horror game. Because of course they are. This is why I became an architect in the first place. Looking at them floor plans. I love me some floor plans. Jacobean style at its finest. Thing of beauty. Look at these gorgeous rooms. The delicate little harmony between the empty spaces. And speaking of empty spaces, there's something rather odd about these ones.
I feel a bit silly saying it out loud because I've never lived in a big house, let alone a mansion. But during the tour, I had the distinct impression that the rooms were bigger. Maybe the scale is wrong? It's not much of a problem. And it is an old house.
There had been little details here and there that I would have liked to address during the open house too. But it was all forgotten in the wake of Miss Santos' incident and the trouble with ownership. The wine cellar is going to be a problem. I shudder to think what sort of repairs they did to the place. And I also like to point out that the wine cellar and the basement don't actually show up on this floor plan. There's just a square that says wine cellar and a staircase that says basement. There might have been things that were swept under the rug, pushed to the dark corner of the rooms, hidden away in barrels, water damage that could have been covered up. There had been floods due to heavy rains in West England just last year, after all, and if there's any sort of damage to the house's foundation, that's going to be a lot of work. I was not able to look at the attic as well. For all I know, my whole family of vermin could have made their nests up there. Working with pest control is always the worst. The sheer size of this place is staggering, even if I did say it was a lot smaller than I thought. I might just be biting off more than I can chew, but who doesn't like a good challenge? First things first, I'll have to...
So, do you want a coffee? The one from the staff room is pretty decent.
Oh yeah, you're here.
There's really no need. I'm sure you have rules against it.
Rules against bringing someone coffee? That's ridiculous. And even if there were regulations against it, nobody's really here to tell Sir John. I've already brought 2 mugs, and I'm not going to drink them on my own. Come on.
I have to stamp down my annoyance at being distracted. Seeing the girl, the young woman, though, it looks like she has a lot on her mind. If babbling is her way of dealing with stray thoughts, I'm not really one she should be babbling to. Nice. I give her time to speak up. But when she just stares, I clear my throat.
Yes? You have something to say?
As embarrassment creeps on her face, I snatch one of the coffees from her and take a sip. Too hot.
Just thinking and speaking off the record. It must be fun what you do. You go to people's houses and you make them, well, pretty. You're sharing your art with them.
It's a little bit more complex than that. But if you put it that way, it is fun. I wouldn't have done it for 7 years if it wasn't a little bit fun, I guess.
7 years. There's that number again. That's how long the Wrights have been married. You tried to date Hannah 7 years ago, didn't you?
These big clients always have paintings in their homes.
That's what they're setting up anyway.
Do you have a supplier for art pieces?
I didn't expect to hear such a question from her, seeing how well she handled herself yesterday. I didn't doubt then why she was assigned to such an important sale at the Ermengard mansion, despite the little accident she had. Now she just looks too young, too nervous, and unsure of herself, although her enthusiasm must make up for that in spades. In fact, I wouldn't have believed it if she had introduced herself the way she has at this moment. While watching her now, she actually looks like she could still be in college. Acts a bit like it too when I think about it. I thought she was a teen slumming it out in the mansion when I first saw her there lying on the ground. Surprise, surprise, she turned out to be the one of the estate agents handling the property.
The clients usually support artists of their own choice. If they don't, I'm always happy to refer those that I know.
That's cool.
They're very picky. I don't think a hobbyist will have an easy time getting their work sold.
Hey, I'll have you know I was a student of the fine arts.
And yet here you are, selling property. Maybe you weren't a very fine student of the arts.
I don't like where this conversation is going. Maybe I took that a bit too far. No shit. She bites her cheek, and it looks like she's barely holding herself
It's not
back.
like I had a choice.
She mutters it under her breath. I barely even hear it. But the hurt is there. And it makes me wonder what brought it on. Although it is understandable for reasons what I think it is, very few people make it big in the art world. I can see why she'd be upset about it, with that enthusiasm. No, she's upset because she had to give it up so that she could be a provider for her family. I didn't have a choice when I left Ireland. Man, you two are actually pretty similar now that I think about it. Only I can relate to her more because... reasons. Maybe it's because she's short, and I'm short. If I didn't have a choice when I left Ireland, it was that years of unemployment, the recession took a toll on the construction industry that was out of anyone's control. What? I think she's getting off topic. I don't know what choice she wasn't able to make, whether it was about her being in art school or something else. The world isn't a fair place. And the sooner she accepts it, the better. Still, with that forlorn look on her face, I can't help but sigh. The girl reminds me far too much of myself when I was younger.
Well, if you're thinking of commissioning your paintings, I'll have to see your work first.
Oh, it's not... I didn't mean it like that. I don't have any paintings.
Really? You sounded a lot like you still did art or want to. Now I'm starting to worry that you might just like the smell of paint.
It all comes back around to paint.
I'm not a paint huffer, sheesh. I just mean I don't make much anymore. I don't really have the time for it. The tools and materials aren't exactly cheap either.
Everything has a price. It sounds like you're making excuses for something you're presumably passionate about. If you really want to practice art, a little out of your wallet isn't much.
Well, if she doesn't fucking die during this whole mansion thing, I'm sure she'll have plenty of opportunities. She ended up getting a lot of money from Mrs. Wright for this mansion deal. Or that hasn't happened yet, but she will get it.
It's not that simple.
It's not. Life's simple. People just like to make it complex. Speaking off the record, I have some advice for you, kid.
Grow up, kid.
Either go for what you want, or stop thinking about it when you have something else. That is unless you enjoy making yourself miserable, then by all means.
You know, if you wanted to look at the floor plans without me bothering you, you could have just said so.
Would you have left me alone?
Probably.
We'll never know now, will we?
Probably. I'll say yes. The strained air settles in the room afterwards. Man. I feel like a dick. But that's only because I know Isabel's side of this story. I'm glad we got to play hers first. She was definitely the character that we're the most attached to at this point. Okay, she's gonna go have that. Marianne visited BRC to pick up the floor plan. She was assisted by Isabella Santos. The two shared a brief talk about art, which ended with Marianne leaving a piece of advice for Isabella. That wasn't so much advice as being rude. A strained air settles on the room afterwards. Doesn't help that she doesn't immediately leave, as she said, lingering awkwardly by the door with a downcast expression. It's clear that there's more she means to say, or perhaps even defend herself in her choices in life. Or is she expecting me to dish out more of that advice? It's an awkward affair, and I choose to hightail it out of the realty office as quickly as I can. Though I am unable to keep myself professional at all times, does not mean I like it. And seeing most of the day has already gone before I realized it, I choose to head back to my flat instead, despite today being Saturday. No fun, but at least this way I can definitely avoid another unpleasant encounter. Considering how much I'll be seeing whiskey in the near foreseeable future, I have a feeling I'll need the rest of the weekend can give me. All the rest the weekend can give me. For the first time in a long while, excited as I am to work on the mansion, I cannot wait to be over and done with this project. Wow, we skipped ahead far. October 24th, Monday. Okay, let's get a recap of what's going on Monday. Yep, last night Rose died. This is actually the day we know the least about. Oh my god, we're finally back on the 24th. Because the next thing we saw was like practically the next day. Finally, new content. Monday couldn't come any sooner. After taking the floor plans from Miss Santos the day before the last, I spent most of my Sunday drawing up plans and calling my suppliers. Oh, my head. I have a soda right behind my mic. Although no design choices have been made yet, I'm quite sure that they'd want high-end appliances, the most expensive materials, and the most pretentious everything. They usually did, these rich types, based from experience at least. Given how badly this whole thing started, it wouldn't hurt to be prepared. I have to check myself, make sure I'm not playing with my gloves as one of the other building tenants takes it up the elevator with me. It makes me self-conscious when the woman's eyes go over me. She's gone a long time without encountering anything. Is this just like the one character that nothing bad happens to? And I'm sure she was going to point out some perceived flaw in my physical appearance. But I'm saved from being paranoid when they went off a few floors later. Still, the ride up to my floor was nerve-wracking. The Wrights had lived at the very top of the penthouse. The creme de la creme when it comes to condominium and urban living. Just getting access to the place is an ordeal of its own. I had to jump so many hoops and so many security checks just to secure a key card. Not only because of the building management, because the Wrights' personal security. It sometimes felt like I'm being interrogated for a crime, and not visiting a client at their home. Even with their personal assistant called to help. Even when their personal assistant called in to help and verify my presence, the process is aggravated rather than hastened. Speaking of the devil. The elevator door opens and I'm greeted with none other than Whiskey's not-so-little lackey.
I do apologize if I kept Mr. and Mrs. Wright waiting. But I'm here now and I'm ready, so if I may, where are they?
They've just woken up, but they should be down soon. I'm surprised to see you made it through security. And only 5 minutes late.
You said I'd be through security soon, and it took half an hour. Define soon in this context.
I'd make myself comfortable if I were you. I'm going to go and put the kettle on.
This guy frickin' killed us in one of the routes, technically.
About the tea, I don't want to intrude or anything.
The sir does not like being woken up by the whistling. But who am I to deny tea to a guest?
That's right. He shows me to the couch before darting off towards the kitchen, quietly pulling out a teapot, cups, and all sorts of other things in preparation for tea. I ignore the animosity towards his employer that his little words implied. I wouldn't be too surprised if Whiskey's own people don't like him. Accepting the quiet and isolation instead, I brace myself for what's to come. I like how she's still calling him Whiskey, but at the same time, I hate that she's still calling him Whiskey. In this case, soon apparently means more than 5 minutes, or even 10. I sit in their living room, just waiting. And when the kettle starts whistling, the tea has been served. I continue to wait. At least the silence is relaxing. But then there's a crash. I nearly spill the tea all over my lap in surprise, and I look up expecting security to come running. Even the man at the kitchen counter continues to fix breakfast like he heard nothing. I don't want to speak up about it because he looks far too absorbed in his cooking, and I don't want to be the cause of burnt food or worse. However, there's something in me that just wants to figure out what that was, although I'm normally not this nosy. We're going to continue waiting. I have no business with it. These rich people usually have their privacy above all else, after all. No one else reacted, so why should we? Unless, of course, they're posting pictures on social media, bragging about what good people they are for allowing themselves to be interviewed for some magazine. Then again, the whole reason I'm in this mess is because I don't give two shits about what goes on with people like them. I'm not going to get caught snooping about and be accused of some imagined wrongdoing. I'm not going to be some busybody, detective wannabe, and run off to investigate whatever that was. It's probably just something mundane anyway, like a lamp falling over. Man, she is professional even in her own thoughts. I'm just going to sit here and wait for Mrs. Wright, with my tea, in complete silence.
Could I at least put the telly on?
I don't really expect him to answer. If he hadn't heard the crash, I doubt he would have heard.
As long as you don't watch some silly soap opera. The ABC News would be fine. The William Walker Show is on too if you prefer that. Not that I watch it, but my husband does. The remote is under the coffee table.
Oh, sure. Maybe I'll be lucky and catch the doc on. I heard they're having reruns of the classics and I want to see the second meet sixth in Spain. If not, just the news then.
I hate Doctor Who.
Thank you. I'll let you get on with your cooking now.
Did he just ignore the crash a while ago then? Whatever. Murder last night. Fetching the remote, I turn the TV on in hopes of filling the silence. Trying to anyway, because the thing won't turn on. And doesn't that make the silence more awkward or what? I know I might not be the best with tech, but I'm sure I can work a simple television remote.
Batteries must be dead.
Spooky shit! Finally! What? There's blood everywhere. Help me, it says in red. I look at my own hands and then find them clean, yet I can see my grisly reflection gaping back at me. And though there is nothing staining my skin, I can feel the sticky warm feeling of the blood dripping down my cheeks. I should be worried. Instead, I feel my attention drawn towards her. Her beautiful blonde hair, her soft lips with skin so fair, swaying hips. Oh, this isn't spooky shit. This is just traumatic flashback nonsense. I want nothing more than to hold her, plant my lips on her neck, and run my fingers through her. This is getting weird. Yeah, I can't tell what that little letter is either, Matt. There's a girl in the way. She laughs and smiles and looks at me, but where are her eyes? Temptation is gone in an instant, and I recoil, horrified at the reflection I'm seeing, only to back into something, or rather someone. Mrs. Wright stands there, twirling a lock of her blonde hair, a soft smile on her lips, and a hand on her hip. I almost back away, but I ground and remind myself that this is my client. And whatever I just saw, well, it wouldn't be far-fetched to say that perhaps I am going a bit daft. Oh no, a dyslexic ghost. They're writing backwards. You're supposed to write it backwards so that the reflection shows it's written the right way. You're not just supposed to write it backwards in the reflection so that it looks backwards. You get my point. It would be preferable, of course, to think that it was all a trick of the light, or the makings of an overactive imagination. I'm actually thinking that this one was overactive imagination, that the music that's going on in the background is actually nothing. I think she's just going crazy.
Good morning, Mrs. Wright. I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Have you been standing there long?
No, I just came down and saw you were having a hard time with the telly. We must have forgotten to change the batteries. Are you all right, dear? You're looking a bit pale.
Yeah, you could say she just saw a ghost.
Haven't you had breakfast yet?
No, I'm fine. I had breakfast already, Mrs. Wright. I just need...
Well then, you mustn't have had enough breakfast. I'm all for a good diet, but that's the most important meal of the day. Johans is cooking up pancakes. Pancakes will make anyone feel better, he always says. We can sit down and tuck in.
I knew I liked that butler. Forget that I said that he killed us in another timeline. He's making pancakes.
You'll feel right as rain once we get some fluffy, syrupy goodness in you. And are you sure you're fine, Marianne? You're shaking.
Looking down at my hands, I can see them trembling. Really? Just because she looks so much like her? I'm becoming a damn train wreck. I've been seeing her in my dreams and hearing her voice ever since I met Mrs. Wright at the mansion. With so many blondes in the world, what was different with her? I just
remembered something, that's all. It's nothing to worry about.
Are you sure? I am all ears if there is something bothering you. I don't mind a good story, and I don't want it to affect your work performance.
Gossipy wagon, isn't she? She should just leave you alone. It's not like you need her.
You don't have to worry about that, Mrs. Wright. I say business stays business, and anything else can stay in the doghouse until I'm done with work.
Please tell me that was a flashback and not the ghost. Because if that's the ghost, that's the first time we've heard the ghost speak with voice acting. Unless you count the weird, creepy help me that you hear in the background sometimes. Other than that, yeah. Also the screeches. The terrifying screeches. I just have to bear through it, don't I? If I tell her that I'm hearing voices, that'd be a fast track straight to the nut house. Maybe you need it. What else can I do? Saint Dimpha? Should I pull out Alexa? I'll pass. Lest I become like her father, Damon, insane at the very thought of a lost love and a mad pursuit and mad in the pursuit of another.
Shall we talk about your work then?
If you'd like. It's on your time, after all.
I've been told many good things about you, and I've seen some of your work before. Others speak very highly of your work etiquette.
The Lees, in particular.
Yet I've never heard of you before. Not even a whisper of the McCullough name.
Well, I've only been in Luxbourne for 4 years. Tried to make it big in London for nearly 3 years before. And I've only been working these high-quality projects for the past year.
I stick straight to the point. It's best to be brief when talking to clients. After all, keep it clean cut as much as possible. Yet at the same time, I have to make it engaging so that it doesn't look like I don't want to talk to them.
I imagine it hasn't been easy. I can't see why you've moved from London to Luxbourne, though.
Job vacancies were fewer at the time, and I had a lot of competition in London. Let's not even talk about the living costs there. But I'm glad I moved here, even if it hadn't been smooth sailing. If I had it easy, I probably wouldn't be working projects like these.
Why even bother explaining to her? She won't understand. She's practically born with a silver spoon in her mouth.
Oh no, this is not a flashback. We are literally hearing voices. Okay. Cuckoo, cuckoo.
The woman could probably snap her fingers and have servants attending to her beck and call.
She does look the part of a spoiled heiress, doesn't she? It would be a relief if she's just that. Something that's different from Mrs. Wright and her. Before she can get another word in, words that may have proven me wrong or right, she looks up at the loft with a fond expression on her face. With just a simple glance, she can put in so much love that I feel a tad bit jealous of whoever holds it.
Good morning, Luke, darling.
Good morning, ladies. What a wonderful morning it is that I wake up to such a beautiful sight. I do hope you two are getting along.
Now we know why he's so irritated, actually. God, he's an asshole, though.
I smell pancakes. I do hope you two are considering a diet just so I can have them all to myself.
Don't be a pig, Luke. You eat all of those and you might stop fitting into your tight suits.
He does have a thin figure.
What? I'm not a pig. You don't think I'm a pig, do you, Marianne?
No comment, no comment, no comment, no comment. With his saucy smile and playful wink, I can't help but think you are a bit of a pig, Whiskey.
I don't know, Mr. Wright. I'm an interior designer, not a zoologist.
Marianne visited the Wrights' penthouse to discuss work with the couple. While waiting for them, she tried to turn on the telly. She got a glimpse of her horrifying past. Hannah Wright soon showed up, asking a very spooked Marianne if she was feeling well.
The only stars she must be familiar with are statement of works.
Well, don't be a bore. You two might not be in a rush, but I'm going to go ahead and feast.
If you dawdle too long, he'll hog all the syrup.
Rich people are so eccentric.
Come on then, we can discuss business over food.
I'm just amazed that they're eating pancakes and not crepes. There is no denying the clients when they invite me over to the table. Though it's too personal to share a meal in their home, it would be terribly rude to deny their invitation. That's a lot of pancakes. You know what? I'm not hungry, but I could eat. I just had dinner like 2 hours ago? 3 hours ago? Midnight snack wouldn't kill me. I had pie an hour ago. Besides, the pancakes did look and smell heavenly. A bowl of clotted cream. Where's the bowl of clotted cream? Fruits, syrups, jams, and other spreads are laid out next to them, making it a colorful arrangement. If this was brunch with friends, I would have gladly helped myself to the whole lot. But as it is, I accepted just a few pieces of pancakes and topped it off with a lemon and sugar.
You know, I was a tiny bit serious when I said I wanted a helipad.
You know, I'm sure we can put the helipad in. You got 10 acres.
And you're not serious about the greenhouse, the vineyard, and the stables.
Well, I do want those too, but I know you'll agree to those.
We're talking about interiors here, honey.
Yeah, although an indoor helipad would be cool. I just don't know if she can make it work.
You don't handle exterior designs and whatever handles those sorts of projects do you, Marianne?
I'm able, actually, and willing to take a project of that nature. I was an architect in Ireland before. Of course, that's another contract entirely. I also suggest we finish the house itself before working on any additions to the rest of the property. There won't be any problems about ownership this time, will there? Pardon if I'm crossing a line, but the acquisition was rather quick.
Oh, don't you worry.
We've got everything sorted this time around. I've talked to Miss Cooper and Mr. John from BRC, as well as the old owners. Everything has been paid in full, and all we're waiting for is the paperwork from the land registry. They're letting us move in as soon as we please. It's not like they were living there in the first place.
That's good to hear. The problems that could arise from renovating another person's home would be... well, let's not dwell on it.
Ooh, I think that's my laundry that's done.
First off, we'll want to know how you want the place to look. It's pretty furnished as is, but I understand if you want to modernize the whole thing.
Actually, I'd prefer to keep the place looking as it is, but at the same time, I want modern appliances. You worked on the Ludgate's Christchurch summer residence. I do remember there being an oven I thought was a simple drawer before. Make them look vintage, antique, blend in with the rest of the decor.
Customize appliances then. I can't find someone for that, and if you can't tell me what you specifically want, it'll hasten up the process.
That is super interesting. Modern appliances designed to look old-fashioned. I dig it.
We're talking about electronic appliance manufacturers. If you have a preferred brand to work with.
Splendid! So, what is next on our agenda? All the other interior designers we've hired in the past did not have us this involved.
I stop. What sort of half-baked designer did that? If I knew who they were, I would have woods. This isn't the time or the place for it, however. Instead, I use this brief pause to pull out the floor plans that I brought with me.
We'll have to figure out what you want to do with the rooms. Here, we can have a quick run through.
What is that little room next to the master's bedroom?
There's a theater? Okay. Master's bedroom. There's a quarters, that's right.
Oh, as far as I could tell when I saw it, it's a second bedroom of sorts.
It's like a servant's quarters.
Used, apparently, for the ladies in waiting who has served Lady Charlotte Ermengarde, which is strange, as that isn't the norm for these sorts of houses.
Well, we're not stuffing Johans in there. He won't fit. You don't suppose we could turn it into a walk-in closet and a dressing room?
You could easily do that. I could have... That makes plenty of sense. Where is the closet in here, actually? Is this it right here, or is that a bathroom?
I love fashion, but do we really need to turn an entire room into a walk-in closet, dear?
Hey, it's Hana Sprite.
We'll have large closets and a wardrobe in the bedroom already.
Where? I don't see him in the fucking blueprint. Is that what this is?
Says the one who takes 3/5 of our closet. Well, what do you suggest we do with it?
I thought a utility room of some sort would be nice. A craft room where I can do fun things. Or maybe a children's room might be nice. You know, for when Kylie comes over. Or if Rochelle visits once she's had a baby.
1, you are not inviting that witch. And 2, there's a whole mansion for Kylie to play in. We don't need a children's room, and you don't even do arts and crafts. I'd like to turn the guest's room and the study into my personal office, by the way, if you don't mind.
Where's the guest room? Conference room. That could be an office, right? Hallway. Parlor. There's a study, right? Why don't you just turn the study into an office? Oh, that's the guest bedroom. Okay. That's a lot of space for an office. Yeah, it could work. Rich people be rich.
You can turn it into a personal office if I can have my utility room. It's just the one room of the many. I'm taking that room for myself, no matter what you say, dearie. So you might as well take this deal. You're always out doing business anyway. The real problem is the theater. Whatever are we going to do with all that space?
That is a lot of space.
Fine, we could turn it into our own personal cinema, I suppose. Might as well have it, if you plan on not having a telly in the parlor.
Oh, they planned on not having a telly in the parlor?
Yes, well, I don't want guests to be glued to the telly when they come over for a meal and some tea.
The dining room is on the opposite side as the parlor.
By the looks of things, we can keep the rooms as what they are on the ground floor, though. The ballroom would be perfect for parties.
Do we really need a dining hall, though? I don't suppose we can't convert it into a garage.
Why? Why would you want a garage in the smack dab in the middle of the house?
What for? You can park your cars outside.
You could always build an addition for a garage if you need a place to put your cars indoors.
What about that room, right there, in the northwest corner?
The music room? Oh wait, northwest?
That's sleeping quarters for the household help?
Oh, that is perfect! Johans will be glad if we have other staff members who stayed in. It'd be convenient so they don't have to make the trip from Luxbourne to the mansion when they're needed.
You'll definitely need a lot more people to maintain a property of this size.
Really? I think like 3? 3 might be enough, maybe even 2. Yeah, I think 3. Someone who maintains like the kitchen. Someone who maintains the ground floor. Someone who maintains the upstairs bedrooms. I think that could work, right? 3 people? And then I guess a gardener for the exterior would be nice. Groundskeeper. So 4 people. 4 people seems good. You have Johans, and I'm assuming you already have your own cook. And then you have your own security detail, but I don't really know what they do.
The mansion is really a lot bigger than I thought. Look at all these rooms. I didn't even know there was a music room next to the parlor because of what happened.
Oh, they're connected even.
There was a grand piano in there too, when we checked during the tour.
Did you hear that, Luke? Maybe you can take up playing the piano again. Oh, you should have seen him when we were younger, Marianne.
I wish you didn't.
It's not like I was very good with the thing.
Oh, hush you. You were no Mozart, but I loved hearing you play nonetheless. He'd come over to my home and he'd play such fun tunes. He'd sing too and I'd dance and it was just...
Mr. Wright playing the piano? I can't imagine it. But the earnest way in which Mrs. Wright said so told otherwise.
Anyway, what do you think of these plans, Marianne?
Are we not even going to consider one of my requests? Not even just a closet or just a garage?
I'm assuming the garage was a joke.
Now, that isn't fair, is it? You're not the only one who's going to be living here.
I hardly see how that's unfair. I told you you're getting your office and your theater, the greenhouse, the vineyard, and the stables.
Oh, I forgot he wanted the
That
stables.
sounds fair, does it not, Marianne?
Oh, and don't forget the wine cellar. Okay, we've been really harsh on Mr. Wright so far, so we can compromise. Really wish they didn't look at me like that. It's their decision to make. But if they want to ask for a professional's point of view, I'd be happy to give my 2
You
cents.
can still have a garage.
See, Marianne agrees with me. Thank you.
But the structural integrity of the mansion might be at risk if we try to turn the dining hall or any of the rooms into a garage. Taking down one of the exterior walls might hit one of the support beams. And with a mansion that old, I'd rather not risk it, especially without closer inspection. There's always compromise, of course.
I suppose that's better than nothing. Better than flat out saying no.
Mrs. Wright does have a point. There's plenty of space for a garage outside of the mansion itself. If you'd like a covered parking space, we can arrange something on the grounds instead.
See, that's all I was asking for.
Then we better go there. I want to see where we can build a garage.
Yes, no time like the present. You want a thorough inspection? Might as well do it now. We actually took another look at the property yesterday, though it was brief. But I'm sure you would want to see it yourself, to spot anything we might have missed.
Sounds like a good plan. It's not like I have much of a choice, do I? And we're skipping ahead. Riding to the Ermengarde mansion in the rice is an awkward affair. The mansion's arrangements were discussed over breakfast. During the meeting, the Wright couple had an argument about the mansion's arrangements. In the end, they decided to visit and settle it. Uh-oh. We're going back to Creepy Town. Not only am I worried about scuffing the expensive leather seats, but I'm also worried about getting in the middle of another couple's spat. With the tension thick in the air, I can feel them start staring at each other at any... Sorry, starting... at each other at any time. Nobody is saying anything. Up until Mr. Wright tells his valet to turn the damn radio off. And for a moment, I think he might start. But instead, he just stays quiet, and so do the rest of us. In the end, the sufferable silence stays. Welcome back to Windy Town. Population 1 haunted mansion. And the sound of what sounds like bums moving shopping carts. No offense to bums. I have never been so glad to see a house. Although I did mean a great deal of offense to shopping carts. Those are noisy, awful contraptions that human beings should not do. Bring a basket. You shouldn't be carrying more than a basket worth of stuff out of a grocery store anyway. If you aren't, it means you're not grocery shopping often enough. So, where was I? Stepping out of the car and up to the mansion meant the end of an uncomfortable ride that I could finally take a deep breath of fresh air. The beauty of the place never fails to make me gaze in and wonder every time I see it as well. Oh my goodness, I just realized when we were playing as Zach, we showed Crazy Lady a deformed blonde woman in a photo, and she's seeing a deformed blonde woman in her fucking haunting waking nightmares. Oops. Well, that hasn't happened yet, so cross that bridge when we get to it. The beauty of the place never fails to make me gaze in, wonder every time I see it as well. Mrs. Wright moves towards the front door, keys in hand. Already I can hear Mr. Wright plotting.
Alright, Johans, we're going to go in, but I want you to look around the place. Familiarize yourself with it. Know every nook and cranny, every inch of the lot. Go and see where we can put that vineyard and the other things we talked about.
Yes, the helipad.
I want to know where to station security as well, so go around the perimeter and figure it out.
Scout the property and circle the perimeter on foot. You do know this is 46 acres of land, sir.
Well, you are not driving a car over the grass. Put those long, spidery legs of yours to good use. I didn't hire you to stand around and look intimidating.
You did hire him to stand around and look intimidating.
Go, mush.
Someday I'd like to ask how Johans can even stand or tolerate the man. Why doesn't he just quit? Certainly the pay can't be that good, can it? Even I'm a bit put off by the mutual employer, and the only thing that keeps me from bailing is the fact that we've already signed a contract. At least I'll only be working with them during the duration of the project. He works with them every day.
Sometimes I think you hired me to make me suffer for your amusement.
That is quite the possibility. Someday I'd ask. I feel bad for him. If it's any consolation, he'll be away from Mr. Wright, if only for a little while. 46 acres. I thought it was a 10-acre lot. Wait. 10 acres. Which means the perimeter is... math. I'm bad at math. Well, I'm not bad at math. I just don't want to do it. Alexa? Alexa, what's the perimeter of a 10-acre lot?
Here's something I found on the web. According to euregina.ca, the perimeter is 4 by 2 equals 8 feet.
That cannot be possibly correct. Well, that's the internet for you. We're able to enter the mansion a bit after standing out in the sun. This wretched, strange sunlight that is so far too alien and rare. There had been a bit of a problem with the missus not knowing which key was which. The first item on the agenda would be the grand staircase. And now we know, thanks to the blueprints, that these doors lead to the ballroom. That's the parlor, that's the dining hall. Okay. It seemed sturdy during the open house, but a closer inspection might say otherwise. There are no obvious marks of damage nor wear and tear, probably rethreaded during the renovations. Peeking under the grand carpet, the wood is properly installed with the bark placed down to prevent cupping. The carpet itself could use a vacuum, though. Structural conditions, from what I can see without actually dismantling the thing, look to be in good shape, and the handrails and support posts are firm. Wow, we're literally doing a structural integrity check, room by room, place by place. I hope we fast forward through this, because it will get boring really quickly. The work on it should be commended. I can't look much more into the rest of the foyer, however, because Mr. Wright starts to hurry us into checking the dining hall. That's right, he wants a
what do you
garage.
think? Certainly we can't turn this area into a garage.
Yeah, I doubt it.
It's Jacobean architecture. I'd say these would be pilasters and not buttresses, but you never really know. They really liked mixing up these elements. You could say it was pretty avant-garde at the time. We might hit a support beam if we're not careful.
And in layman's terms?
No garage.
From what I see here, we could risk great damage to the house if we try to turn the dining hall into a garage.
The man didn't look too pleased at this. There's a look of disappointment before he sighs and looks around the place with an air of defeat. When he moves to speak, I dread another unreasonable demand again. What about a helipad?
This will stay a dining hall then. But if I may have another request instead,
Oh boy.
at least spruce the place up with some flowers, some plants, or something. It feels so old and dead in here.
That's hardly unreasonable. Daffodils are a must, I presume.
The look that passes between the two of them, there's a genuine look of fondness there. This is the first time I've seen such an exchange between the two of them. Oh, that's a great idea. Water slide. Straight from the grand foyer into the dining room. It can end in the kitchen and go right down into the wine cellar, ending in a nice tub of fresh grapes to smash into your own fresh wine. Brilliant. I'm glad you thought of that. Totally your idea and not mine. I would never come up with anything that ludicrous. If anyone are to see them like this, there is little doubt that they loved each other.
Of course. And I want a garden full of them.
Now, if you excuse me, I'd like to look at the rest of the house. I'll just be around here downstairs, if anybody needs me.
That leaves Miss Wright and I.
He's quite fond of them, you know.
I can imagine. He looked terribly upset when we told him he can't have his garage.
I meant the daffodils. We always have a vase full of them in every house we own. Somewhere, I'd like to think. They may be about his mother. He never talks about her. I don't even know her name.
7 years of marriage and you don't know his mom's name? Wow.
He likes to flatter, claim that they remind him of me, but he's always loved the flowers, even before we married.
Much like the piano, I didn't take him for a person who liked flowers. Daffodils, least of all. Oh, you hear that? It's me moving over to ask Alexa something. Alexa, what do daffodils mean in the language of flowers?
Here's something I found on dictionary.com. Daffodils is a form of the word daffodil. As a noun, daffodil is usually defined as a bulbous plant, Narcissus pseudonarcissus, of the amaryllis family, having solitary, yellow, nodding flowers that bloom in the spring. As an adjective, daffodil is usually defined as of the color daffodil. For more, ask me to give you more definitions for daffodil.
Now that'll be enough, Alexa. What's next? Am I going to find out that Mr. Wright saves kittens from burning buildings? Maybe. Maybe.
I'll go and snoop about upstairs. You go and do whatever it is that you have to do.
By the way, the tablet gag is going to continue whenever we play as Marianne, specifically because she says she refuses to carry around a tablet. So we are going to waste as much time in this stream with that tablet at anytime there's a question that I would have normally Googled. When she goes without even asking if I need her here, I'm left standing to stare at the walls. Now we're going to get back to a hunting in the Ermengarde mansion. Which I keep forgetting is probably just a pun for, oh my god! Really, I don't need to do anything thorough. Inspection of this building itself isn't really part of the interior designer's job. But the architect in me committed to doing this task with every project. If I'm going to make a living space that have both form and function, I might as well make sure that the entirety of it is safe for my clients. Okay, since I'm already here, I roam around to the dining hall to check my things off my punch list, if you will. But when it's time to move on, I hesitate. Oh no, the voices are going to come back, aren't they? Mr. Wright said he would be somewhere around here on the ground floor, and I really didn't want to be alone with Whiskey. Well, so much for Spooky. New beginnings and rebirth, huh? Maybe his mom is reincarnating into one of the characters in this game. I have to look through this place eventually, sure, but on the other hand, I can do it later when he's gone. I can go upstairs first if I want to. Check the first floor. I've already seen enough of this floor during the open house. Ooh, bad luck. Never mind, I regret my decision immediately. Of course, I know that's just a convenient excuse. I don't want to be in the same room as Whiskey anytime soon. I might as well go upstairs first. Whoops. I thought I picked the first floor. Oh, that's right, first floor is the upstairs. Oh. Okay, we're gonna skip ahead.
I just remembered something, that's all. It's nothing to worry about.
How do I skip? Skip. We can compromise. Skip.
So, what do you think? Certainly we can't turn this area into a garage.
Okay, we got the pancakes back. Increased Luke.
It's to cope. And from what I see,
This will stay a but if I may at least.
That's a
Alright. Check the ground floor. Alright, just because there's one troublesome client shouldn't mean that I'll let him get in the way of my work. And so we don't have to do this again, we're going to make a save here. We'll probably keep going for a little bit longer. I've got maybe another 15 minutes to 30 minutes left in me before I start to collapse from exhaustion. The parlor is my first destination. Seriously, where does this door lead? Mostly because I figure Mr. Wright is hiding down in the wine cellar and making a glass there. I'm going to bump into him sooner or later, but I'd rather make it later. Much, much later. The place upon closer inspection is in good shape. I don't doubt that this place was done with the most care, considering it would be one of the first rooms visitors would see during the open house. There's a stain on the carpet, most likely from one of the guests at that time, but it isn't anything a good cleaning can't get rid of. Next is the music room, or at least that's the plan.
locked? Oh, come on now.
Okay, here's where the spooky shit's probably going to happen, right? I rattle the doorknob again, harder this time, to double check, and even give it a good budge to see if it isn't a problem with the door itself. But no, it's definitely locked. It's weird considering the rest of the rooms aren't. Could be just the one, though, and I could try the other door through the ballroom if I really want to get in. That's when I hear it. Oh, Mr. Wright's in there practicing, isn't he? The sound of the piano. Though it just plays one note over and over again. Makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand. I back away from the door. Though I wasn't exactly a superstitious sort, what am I going to do? The room is locked. I can't just go back to it later. Maybe I'll see if I can go in from the ballroom and... Music room door opens, and who else is it but Luke Wright that stands by the doorway. He looks a lot like a cat that ate a canary and didn't appreciate the way his eyes linger on me.
Isn't it common sense that locked doors mean someone wants a bit of privacy? You didn't try to break the door down. Or did you just want to see me again that badly without the misses?
Oh God, he's still hitting on us.
I don't see why you would, though, Mint. Nothing really happened between us.
Well, I wasn't looking for whiskey. I was just going around to do my inspection. Thought it needed a push, just in case the door was stuck and actually needed repairs.
So you really are some fancy interior designer, huh? Had you told me you were one, I would have called you a piss taker. I figured you'd be, I don't know, an assistant going for a drink after a week with a tosser of a boss.
I'm just glad you thought me any sort of professional with how ossified I was. I must have not looked the part, so I understand your surprise.
He doesn't offer a witty retort, and he grows quiet for a moment.
At first glance, Hana didn't look like some fancy finance manager when I first met her either.
Oh yeah, that's right. She was a finance
She
manager.
was the pretty daughter of this rich, powerful man. When she was introduced, they told me that she was not there as the man's daughter, but as a part of management. I thought it dubious. All the beautiful women I knew before her, they used their looks to get what they want. And there she was, with all that she could ever need in life, and yet she works hard to earn her keep.
It sounds like you admire her.
I do. Hearing that, I too can't help but feel admiration for Mrs.
You
Wright.
enjoy your job, don't you, Mint?
It helps me earn my keep, as you would put it. A bit strange to say out loud, but it gives me purpose as well.
Good for you, Marianne.
Do you think then that, maybe, Hana would want to go back to being a working person?
I think she does. Taken aback at his question, I wait for further clarification. What makes him ask this? Why me of all people, right? You should ask her.
Shouldn't you be asking her this? Isn't her opinion much more important than that of someone you just met in a pub a few nights ago?
You're a woman, and I figured you might know more. I mean, people are always saying that women are fulfilled by having husbands and having a good home.
I wouldn't buy into that nonsense.
But then, I see ones like you who look happy having jobs. Maybe she's like you, and having a job would be better for her.
Just because I'm a woman? You do know we don't all think the same way.
I thought what he said actually held some merit there, so I'm actually going to take his side again on this one. Why do I keep taking his side? God, I hate him so much, but I find myself agreeing with him, and that's the thing that makes me hate him even more.
But I don't know. I'm not married or anything, but this shouldn't be a complicated matter. She's your wife for how many years? Talk to her. Ask her what she wants. Don't you guys talk during supper or something?
That gets him thinking. Or at least, looks like it does.
Well, I should let you get back to work. Thanks for talking with me, I suppose.
Right. But anything goes awry if you take my advice. Just remember that I'm not some marriage counselor. So take it with a grain of salt.
Which is funny, because she's going to go to you for counseling later.
My marriage goes down the shitter, I'll sue you. Noted.
Wait, that's not...
Too late. Takes a step back into the music room, shuts the door, and leaves me there looking gobsmacked. He wasn't serious, was he? I don't know. That man, I don't understand him at all. One moment he's a huge arse, and then he's a this person the next.
Good guy. Still needs a good arse kicking if you ask me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, voice in my head, I agree. Okay, so forget about going into the music room then. That's fine. He'll have to go out there sooner or later. In the meantime, I can go around and check the rest of the house. All of my worries fade when I step into the ballroom. And well, the whole place is just grand, isn't it? Oh, it's like swallowing my tongue and I feel like I'm gonna drown. And well, the whole place is just grand, isn't it? I can see why the Wrights made sure nobody else would take this place from them. I just noticed the flowers on the ceiling. It's kind of a nice design. Kind of reminds me of the Sistine Chapel. Just instead of two guys about to touch fingers, it's just two flowers on opposite sides. Anyone who has it will certainly be the belle of the ball. It's pretty much one great big status symbol. I don't think I can do much about that, though. Sorry, I don't think I can do much of a thorough inspection of this room, so I note it down for later. Ah yes, the location of where all the spooky shit happened so far, involving the Wrights at least. Moving on to the kitchens, I check the ventilation and general fire safety in the kitchen. This is a bit important for the place of this size. I would, of course, suggest bringing an actual fire safety inspector over for a more detailed inspection. It wouldn't do to see such a beautiful architecture go up in flames after all. I take measurements of the countertops and cabinets, note down what type of wood they use. They wanted some of these recreated to hide modern appliances. There's a loose floorboard at the farthest corner, and some of the others had scratches, but everything else seems to be in decent shape. My concentration is broken when someone knocks.
You can come in. Door's not locked.
I wait, expecting Mrs. Wright or the butler to come in. It's Mr. Wright. Nobody entered. Instead, there's that knocking again. This kitchen is cursed. Let's never go in here again. It's louder and more urgent this time, and I'm pretty sure I didn't lock the thing.
All right. I'm coming. Just hold on.
When I moved to open the door, though, I realized something. The knocking isn't coming from the door, but from somewhere else. It's coming from the cellar. Please tell me it's locked. Trap door? I paused for a second, waiting. The knocking has not ceased. Spooky shit. Ugh, that's like an irritating noise. And soon enough, it becomes desperate. Dull thuds from before, switching to what seems to be scratching. Desperate and insistent at once, as if grasping for respite.
Is somebody stuck down there?
She opened it.
Heck!
Where did that come from? How did it even get down there? That put my heart in a crossway in me. What? Who says that? British sayings. I love cats, but they have no business giving people a fright. For a second there, all those ghastly rumors about the place had come flooding back. Now peering into the darkness of the open trapdoor gets me thinking. Gets me curious. Seriously, though, I should really make sure there aren't any more surprises from down under. I don't think the Wrights would appreciate it if we find a litter of kittens making a house in the wine cellar. Mr. Wright seemed the type to skin a cat if any of his precious wines to be contaminated. I'm done with the kitchen anyway. Oh, we've actually gone inside here. Spooky. This is the first time we've seen it. I'm sure we've had opportunities to come down here before, but I didn't get a choice in the matter. She just went in. Going down a flight of stairs while wearing high heels is always a bad idea. Descending into a dark underground only made it worse, but I imagine, anyhow, without any major slip-ups. Cobwebs everywhere.
These stairs need work, that's for sure.
Surprisingly, the wine cellar is in good condition. Wait, one of those memory fragments we saw. There's a torture room down here, isn't there? Because they specifically left the basement and the wine cellar, the underfloor. None of this is on the blueprints, which means they're hiding something down here. The original owners. Surprisingly, the wine cellar is in good condition. It's stone. It's a basement. No water damage from the last year's flooding, and apart from the dust and cobwebs that have accumulated, the place will likely hold for 7 more years. Racks and barrels line the walls, making the spacious room look smaller than it is. I'm no expert, but it looks good enough for the immediate use without any further additions. Bloody Whiskey will be having a field day. I think so anyway, until I feel something crunch beneath my feet. Whatever few bottles were left behind are nothing but glass under my heels. The cat's fault, I wager. And it made a downright mess with the red slick pooling from the remnants of the good drink. I have a feeling that that's not wine. There's a lot of the stuff to have been just a few bottles, though. The whole trail of it flows out of the end of the room, and I follow fully expecting a leaking barrel or a whole upturned rack. Instead, it just keeps on going and going. It stops in a large puddle at the back wall.
What a waste of wine. Why is it so sticky, though? Ugh.
It's not wine, it's not wine, it's not wine, it's not wine. It's thick, too. Nothing like wine. Of course, it could just be mold.
Maybe it's not wine. Go on, touch it. I dare ya.
Okay. Now we're seeing things and hearing things. Despite it all, I find myself answering. Because it's her voice. Amy Lorraine. Okay, we have a name to the face in our head. I mean voice in our head. I mean, life sucks. Lovely Amy, pretty Amy. I could imagine her standing there with me, laughing and pestering me as I did my work in the way only friends can. She was my friend, and the only one that I had at St. Samson's? I was a scholar, the charity case at a school for privileged and prestigious young girls. They all looked down at me, if they cared to look at me or acknowledge my presence at all. All except her. Sometimes I wish for good old days when we were friends. Now she's nothing but a ghost. Though I try hard to get over her. Literally. She's like literally in your head. Like, you have problems, lady.
What am I, 5 years old? Oh, damn it, it's stuck under my shoe.
That's blood.
I double dare you. Hell, I double dog dare you. Don't be such a scaredy cat. It's probably wine.
It's blood. It's blood. I will be amazed if it is anything other than blood.
What else could it be? Blood?
Don't be ridiculous. Why would there be blood down here?
If I was the joking sort, I would have said it might be the reason why the previous owner sold the place. Maybe the ghost stories are actually true. They wanted to get away from the walls that dripped ectoplasmic goo. Whatever ghouls haunted about. Doubt it. Hardly believe any of that voodoo nonsense as it is. But as I stare at the mess at my feet, probably looking like a fool while I'm at it, I notice something strange. It isn't visible unless one is really paying attention, but I can see red gunk seeping through a crack in the wall.
What's this then?
I worry about structural damage to the and damage to the foundation. I worry about the wine cellar, as the wrong conditions can lend a deterioration of its contents if temperatures and humidity are not controlled. Up until then, I see how to clean out the crack. What? I see how clean cut the crack is. Okay. Runs along the edge of the wall and vertically along it, where a door would be. Pressing my hand against the wall lends me the credence to the idea as I try to feel where it would give way.
Ooh, could it be an adventure then? A secret passage. There must be a hidden switch somewhere. Go look. This is the most interesting thing you've done by far.
And the walls will ooze green slime. Oh wait, the walls always do that. Never mind. If there's a hidden room here, that could certainly explain the discrepancy in the mansion's floor plans. It wouldn't be too far-fetched to think that there could be hidden rooms and passageway all over the house, if we were to follow that logic. And boy, isn't that exciting. Feels like something straight out of a game. You don't say. Suddenly, she touches my arm and I flinch away in shock. That shouldn't be possible. I understand auditory hallucinations, maybe even visual hallucinations, but that was...
You look surprised. What's wrong?
You? That's not possible. You're...
dead?
Aren't you happy to see a dear old friend, though? I'm hurt, I am.
What the hell is going on here?
Oh, isn't it obvious? I've come back for you.
No, it's not obvious. Explain it to me like I'm a child.
So that we can be together again.
She touches me once more, I recoil. What does that mean, together again? She's dead.
No! Leave me alone!
I don't know, if my best friend died and was suddenly talking to me, I'd probably be ecstatic, but that's just me. Assuming an appropriate amount of grieving time has passed.
Leave you alone? But I just got here.
Turning around, I met with the Wright's butler, who looks at me with an indifferent look. When I look back, Lorianne is gone.
I wasn't talking to you, just thinking aloud is all.
You should really avoid talking to yourself, Kint. Do more of that and others will think you're insane.
She is insane.
Yes, thank you. Is that all you're here for, or has your master sent you running down here for something?
Oh, no, I am just down here to admire the place. I've not been inside before. I thought I would look around before we return to the city. The car is already running, you see, and I suggest you go back to the foyer, unless you wish to be left behind. It seems you are in good company already, after all, with this house and your imaginary friend.
I love this guy.
Wait, we're leaving already? But I haven't finished inspecting the rest of the house.
Be that as it may, there's a sulking man-child up there who wishes to go home. We are all subject to his whims, lest he throw a tantrum.
I can't help but smile at that. He's a strange guy. I still can't imagine how he can work for a guy like Luke Wright, though. I imagine the blonde arse ain't an easy guy to get along with. Whatever the butler is having to tolerate that, I want 10 of it.
And we wouldn't want any soiled knickers or spilled milk. Why don't you go head on and I'll be right there.
Gonna push the door open?
Very well. Do be careful on your way back. I saw some broken glass on the way and it would not do to cut yourself on them.
I will, yeah. Just tell Mr. Wright not to blow a gasket or anything. I'll be just a minute.
Speaking of blowing gaskets, there's something else dangerous here. Whatever's behind that door, it could pose some problems. Best case scenario, it would only ruin good stocks of wine. But who knows what's behind that false wall? I'll have to come back to it. I think it's a torture room. That's my guess. It's already dark as we make our way out of the mansion. With no lights, we are only illuminated by the headlamps of Wright's car and the stars above us. The sight of them helped me compose myself much more than several minutes of being alone did. The car's engine running, and yet two still stand out on the lawn. Mrs. Wright's busy eyes up to the stars, and Mr. Wright arms crossed and his eyes down on the ground. It is the crunch of the grass under my heels that brings their attention to me.
About time. What took you so long? A minute longer and I'd think the house swallowed you all up.
Oh, hush, dear. I'm sure she has her reasons. Marianne doesn't seem the sort to idle.
Sorry, I was just checking on something important.
See, business is business and they take time, love. You should know that better than anyone. So, Marianne, what do you think? Are you the woman for the job? I know we already signed papers hiring you, but I want to be 100% sure that you are committed.
Glanced back towards the mansion, knowing what I'd seen there. That curious thing in the wine cellar, which is stuff only I'd read about in fucking horror stories. And her. I should feel the slightest bit hesitant. I was lucky. I've seen enough films to know what happens when a promiscuous woman enters a haunted house. This is my chance to turn it down, make excuses, and say I'm not up to the task, that I need to take care of my old sick father. Just pay the fine, which is probably outrageous for a contract like this, and let it go. I should turn it down. For some obstinate reason, I can't. In the same manner, I haven't let go of her, of the regret that has shadowed me since that day. Much as I hate to admit it, even to myself, seeing her again, mischievous glint in her eyes, loose tendrils of her hair curled around her forehead. It's something I've terribly missed, and now that it's here, almost within arm's reach, my father would tell me, sometimes you just simply have to go through with it, consequences be damned. And well, I really don't have any logical reason to say no. No, you have several. You actually just gave a few. At least not something a client like the Wrights would want to hear from a professional designer. That I can get behind.
It's certainly an interesting project. You can be sure I'm seeing it through the end.
Such dedication! Oh, I do love the determination.
You were always determined like that, weren't you?
Thanks, Lorianne. Hearing her voice once again sends a chill running down my back. I can't wait for this day to be over. Speaking of which, the day is not over. This is the first... We're finally filling stuff on here. Marianne examined the ground floor upon arrival at the mansion with Luke. Barring entry into the music room, she headed to the wine cellar. Ghost from the past visited there. Despite that, she gave her word that she would see through the project until the end. I bet if we went on the first floor, we'd end up exploring the attic and seeing the creepy plate lady that got murdered. So we dodged a bullet there. From the mansion and through Anselm, I rode with them in silence. But as soon as we hit city proper, I asked to be dropped off and bid them good night. I thought it'd be best if I didn't stay too long in the confined spaces with either Mr. or Mrs. Wright. Both of them seemed to cause serious trouble, and the project had been any less interesting or grand, I would have dropped it without a second thought. Would have. Shouldn't have. Won't. I assure them that my place isn't far off, and that I have to fight off the urge to roll my eyes and groan when Whiskey throws me a little smirk. He knows that I don't live near here. But even in my own home, peace is elusive, as is sleep. I lie awake, thinking of what I saw in that mansion, of who I saw. If so much as hear a single whisper from her, if so much as to whisper from her hair, I'm afraid I'll go mad. Lady, you already are. But none of that happens. Makes me feel hollow. For 2 nights I've had trouble sleeping, but it's only one morning, and fatigue has already let me rest, that I'm reminded of what terrifies me so. And we're going to end here. We did a decent chunk. Items, sprites, CGs, memory fragments. Yeah, I think this is what's behind that false wall in the basement. As for what's going on in there, you have my thoughts. We're only in chapter 4, it looks like. So we're halfway through this story at this point, it seems. Which means, if this chapter 5 is Rebecca, chapter 6 is Ashton, filing off, chapter 7 is Luke. Unless there's like a finale where we all get together. Yeah, sex dungeon. Sounds nice. Although I'm going more with a torture dungeon. You know, traditional 16th century dungeon. But on that note, we're going to end here before the conversation gets any darker and gets any more inappropriate. Ta-ta for now. See you in the next stream. This is why we're ending, because I don't want to start that conversation. Night, everybody.